Alrighty, folks. Okay, I did it. You guys watched. I power washed this whole deck off and cleaned up real good. Now, going in for the sealing. It's been a couple days now, so it's completely dried off. We've had some great drying days. You guys are asking, Michael, what are you pouring in there? Thompson's water seal. Or is it milk? Looks like milk. Says this container should cover wood, rough sawn, 100 square feet. 6 by 15. What's 6 times 15? Yep, 100. Okay, somewhere near there. So that's a gallon. Michael, what are you pouring that into? Well, let's just say it's my homemade contraption that I used. I made it when I was having to go take some chemicals onto my pond to spray it to spray the duckweed on my pond, and I could just dump it in here, spray on the boat, you know, and it's just a regular high flow Gold Series pump. And let's get the water out of it. It's pumping it. That's the good news. There we go. Took a while to get the water out of it. Oh yeah. This is gonna work fantastically. What was this? Clear, multi-surface waterproofer. Dries clear. Helps maintain a natural color. Well, if the natural color is milk, doing a pretty good job. And here I am. I'm just saturating this, guys. I want this to soak up as much as possible. And this is way faster and easier. And I'm not getting a lot of wasteless per se. Okay, a little bit. It's okay. Broken board, protected. I just want this thing to soak up as much as possible. So that's why I'm just saturating it so much. Oh yeah, she's already soaking it in. I'm just gonna take a brush and kind of smear the heavy around here. Yeah. This will help get it in everywhere. I want to make this wood look good for a while. So far, the applicator is doing what I want it to do. It's putting plenty of it on. And we'll see how it looks when it's done. I hope it looks pretty good. This wood was thirsty. And to be precise, to let you know how much I'm putting down, it's on the R scale. And I would call it deep into the R scale. Now, what is the R scale, you ask? Well, it's a scale on which things are measured that you're doing. This one is right up near the top, deep into the top of the scale, called ridiculous. We're putting a ridiculous amount on here. Oh yeah, this is gonna soak so good. Now you're supposed to be above 50 degrees, which we are. No rain for 24 hours, which is what will happen. No rain is in the forecast. Oh yeah, I tell you, spraying it on, then brushing it around, I can just see it getting into all the crevices. It's just forcing it in there. This board will be replaced eventually, but for now, 90% of it's still good. And I'm not worried about the paint. Nope. We'll get this off of the paint, put it back on the wood. Well, I can already tell. I just put it all over my leg. Well, that would be just dandy if I had a wooden leg. Preserve it. All right. I don't know if this is going to pick it up, but the humming in the background is the aircraft flying over, giving you guys some, more top-down view here. All right. Let's just get this show on the road now that we know what we're kind of doing. No, we don't. But we'll fake it till we make it. The stuff does have some viscosity to it, for sure. It's got some thickness. Alrighty, folks, as you witnessed there, we've got this wood completely sealed up, and we've got the wood of my other trailer sealed up. Now, confession time. Dun, dun, dun. Let's just say I bought this trailer instead of buying a bunch of material and put one together myself, because this is the most economical way to buy my material. I bought this trailer as, let's just call it as junk. Yes, it towed home, but it is nowhere near ready to work. And I say that just because of all the cracks in the ramps. The fenders are not, let's just call them DOT approved. The tires stick outside the fender. Somebody tried to, as you saw, carve them out with a torch. And obviously the trailer hitch would not pass inspection because it doesn't latch. It also does not have brakes on the trailer, right? So I've got to invest a decent amount of time, effort, and energy, money to get this up to speed. But there again, what I paid for the trailer, I couldn't have bought half of this material, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So that's why I chose this one over there. Again, I could have went and spent $4,500, $5,000 and bought a trailer like this. But I could buy this for what I paid for it, put another $1,000 in it, and I'd be at half price. Do that math in your head. So some of the things we have to do here, because this one I am registering it as a home-built trailer. Whoever had it, this is obviously a home-built trailer. There's no question in my mind. There is no manufacturer out there building trailers, and this has got some age on it, of course. Doing this, I'm going to call it, they didn't do a bad job. Let's just say that. Structurally, it's there. Some of the welding that's on here, it's semi-pro, not pro. Let's just call it that. I'm not saying I'm a pro, but I know all my welds would have looked better than this stuff does for sure. And this weld will hold. I have no doubt in my mind. Everything that cracked and broke here was material related and not the weld. Now, some of it broke weld adjacent, which would tell you that things got crystalline next to the weld. Maybe there wasn't enough preheat, or maybe it was welded together on a cold day and that shock line, that crystalline shock line happened. And over time, fatigued and just cracked because it became embrittled in that area. Okay? So yeah, I've got to get this trailer up to speed. I've got to have the local DOT come in and inspect it, because to be a home-built trailer in Iowa, the trailer weighs less than 2,000 pounds. And I've done that on a few of my utility trailers and boat trailers, because the trailers definitely weigh less than 2,000 pounds. Well, obviously they know that if you got a trailer that weighs over 2,000 pounds, you're getting ready to do a little more work with it than just haul a 2,000 pound boat type of thing. So they know what kind of axles you probably are putting underneath that trailer, because anything else would just collapse and crush, right? Well, this one's gonna obviously have a little more weight capacity, but I don't know exactly how much weight capacity. I do know the whole trailer weighs 2,800 pounds, so it's well above the 2,000 minimum. Now, I want to decide what the capacity is, because the springs and axles were replaced at one time in history. But that's the reason I know that is, they told me. That's how. Plus, they would have never built it originally with these fenders that stuck with the wheels sticking outside. It's just the fact that the wheels are wider. The axle's wider. Yes, Phil back in the back corner. You said it before I got it out. All right, next, I'm gonna bring my floor jack out. We're gonna jack this up. I'm gonna take the rear wheel. We'll take the rear wheels off and the hubs off, and we're gonna see what we got for bearings underneath there, if they need to be replaced or not. And I'll tell you why I'm starting with the back ones first. The back ones will not have brakes on them. And I can go ahead and pull them off, repack them, put them back on, and that's done. Front ones, I'll pull off, but I've got to, unfortunately, buy brake backing plates, buy a whole new hub with a drum on it to go, that works with it. And then I got to buy a hydraulic braking system. Then I got to run brake lines, because I'm going with hydraulic brakes. I've thought about it. Hydraulic brakes make sense in the water. Hydraulic brakes make sense always to me, and I'm going to tell you why. All the cars has been built in the last, 7, 8 decades, maybe safely from there, have hydraulic brakes. Not electric. They're hydraulic. Why? Well, when your life depends on it, hydraulic. Now, if you have electric brakes on your trailer, that's fine and dandy. Wires break, mice chew through wires. You might go and load up your trailer and head down the road, and when you have to step on it, realize, oh, shoot, only one wheel's breaking because a mouse chewed through for my wire, or my connector got corroded, or there's lots of things that can happen. Hydraulic, all contained within the trailer. I go down the road, anywhere I'm going, I just tap the brakes, I can feel if it's working. That's my reasoning behind it. Not saying any of the other ones are wrong. This is just my personal preference, and is what makes sense to me. So let's get the floor jack out here and get this up in the air so I can get the jack stands under it and start assessing what we have, because the bearing diameter is going to tell me what capacity axle this is, along with, you know, usually they don't put those bearing diameters with tubing that's too light to handle what the bearing can handle. Usually it's all, you know, relative. But from what I've looked up so far on like eTrailer.com, where you buy your 6-lug hubs and all that, they start at 5,200 pounds per axle with 6-lug wheels. I'll confirm that by checking the diameter of the axle, the inner bearing, outer bearing, and seal to see if it lines with what eTrailer.com has, or one of those other trailer websites that they're great at giving great detail as to the bearing diameters, IDs, OD of the race, and all that stuff. I'm really hoping that I actually pull a wheel off a trailer. Hasn't happened yet, but it can, that the bearings just need repacked. That would be a pleasant surprise now, wouldn't it? All right, I'm gonna have to get my big floor jack out for this because it's got a little more weight to it. Plus I need a little more oomph, and then we'll get some, you know, jack stands. Now that we got it safely up in the air, let's get these wheels off. Feels pretty good. Let's knock this cap off. Now this has got a rubber dew flopper here, as you see. Maybe you can't see. We'll knock it off and take a look at it. Oh yeah. Now what you have here is they call it a greasable axle. And what this is a rubber plug that you can take out of here to access a grease zerk that's right there to pump grease into your axle. And you're probably going, Michael, how does that differ from a bearing buddy? Well, for one, a bearing buddy applies grease just to here. And it's got to go through here and through the other bearing and, you know, through this bearing and through the other side, and then finally get to the bearing on the back. Whereas this one, you grease it here, there's a hole through the axle that comes out in the middle between the bearings, so you can actually potentially grease it evenly. Now, I'm really curious when I pull this off, since this axle came like this, and I'm curious what direction the seal is facing, if it's allowing to let grease out. Now, you think about it on a trailer like this, it's not being dunked in the water. It might ride down the road in the rain, but it's also not being rained on too heavily from above because, well, the tires got it surrounded here. You've also got this roof of a fender above it. So these, that's why I'm you know, we'll see what they look like inside. There still could have wear on the bearings, but this grease is not the grease I would normally use, I don't think. It's still got some, yeah, it's not bad. It's still got some tackiness to it. It's a black grease. Still smells like grease. It doesn't smell all burnt up. Now, this type of, I'm trying to remember what kind of, I did this on my boat trailer axle that I replaced. It had this kind of locking nut on here. I'll see if I can get some of this cleaned up so I can see what it is. Now I'm just going to use some brake cleaner to try to, it's It's kind of nice because it flushes things off real quick, and I'm going to repack it all anyway. And I'm going to flush all the grease out of it. I'm just trying to remember how these clippity clips work. They have a flat on it with the flat of the axle. And I think all they do is pry off. If I'm not mistaken now. Guess I'll go get me a prying device. Let's see what we got here. I think if I just get it behind here, she'll just pop right off. Yep. Looks like it's working. Ow, that's sharp. Felt sharp. So this has a flat here that goes on the axle, and you can see this thing kind of wraps around the nut. Just gets a hold of the nut. Grabs a hold of the nut. So the nut can't do nut things. All right. Felt like that was adjusted pretty decent. Boy, this still moves free like brand new right here. Now, I'm going to try something somebody shared with me. Let's see if it'll work. Somebody said you take that front bearing off, like I'm getting ready to do here. Nuh-uh. The rollers look good so far. But then they said stick the washer back on. Stick the nut back on. And you might be able to actually get the seal to pop out with the bearing and not destroy the seal, and you can reuse them. Now, in this case, I'm probably going to buy new seals just because I want to know where I left off with it last. I'm assuming these axles are about 5 years old. Just the legend has it that the axle and the tires were replaced at the same time. So now with that, nope. So the washer won't fit through the center of the hub. Verified. Let's go ahead and put see if the nut will fit through. So this may be an epic fail. It may not work. It may not work. It may work on some hubs, not all. Oh. Yeah, this goes straight through. It didn't do a darn thing. So, at least we know now, right? We know now. On this one, that's not a viable option. Now, I'm going to leave all this grease on here. What you want to do on these axles is underneath here, the bearing is only so wide. And it's enough to cover the surface. And what you're looking for underneath here is see if you can feel a line or a step or anything like that that would indicate that this bearing has been spinning on the axle, wearing the axle out. Because that could happen if you got bad bearings or bad adjustment. But this one feels pretty good. Now, I'm going to have these off for a few days. So what am I going to do? It's supposed to have rain in the forecast for like the next week. Oh, you know where the grease hole's at? Let me get you in here. Let me get you in here. So actually, the grease hole is right here. So the grease goes in here, fills up the bearing, goes against the seal, and goes this direction. And because it's not completely sealed up, because you'll have this little rubber piece taken out, you can see when the fresh grease comes from back here all the way out the front. And then you can put the rubber piece back in. So that's how it will trump the bearing buddy. Hands down. So the seal is put in to keep the grease in and force the grease this way. And there again, when you're just pumping grease in there, it's not under any pressure. There's nothing building pressure because you got that front rubber cap off, letting it all flow through the bearing. So in essence, while you're spinning it and pumping it, you can be working fresh grease through the whole bearing, pushing the old stuff out the front. Come on, that's a better way to grease the bearing, ain't it? if you don't take it off. That's there again, everybody I've talked to since I've made my video rant about bearing buddies, they still use the bearing buddies. It's just a cap, right? It's a better cap that hammers on and off easier. I still say there's more ways for it to leak, just because there is more devices involved instead of just a metal cap. But yeah, I like this. This is the exact style of axle I put on my boat trailer, and I'm gonna have to try to do that with it. I didn't quite fully understand the rubber thing in the middle, but you know, sometimes it takes me a little time to soak on things and I'll figure it out. But yeah, this has the braking plate mounts here, 5-lug braking plate mount. Now what I'm doing here is I'm taking and rubbing grease all over things that may not have grease on it, because this, you know, we're supposed to have rain over the next week, and I won't get this back together probably over the next week because I got to order seals. The bearings look like they're gonna, you know, pass the grade, and then I can repack and put it back together like it is, which is awesome. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting on the seals to show up, I don't want this to get all rusty, because right now it's pretty well protected from rust just because of the way it is. Lucy, how you doing, Pop? How you doing, Pop? That's Lucy, guys. Oh, who's else I got here? I saw something else. Where'd he go? Oh, he's behind me? Oh, there he is. Toast. There's a nice shot of his butthole. Toasty Toast. Kitty. Independent dude. Okay, we'll edit that out. All right, so we got one off. We'll go take the other one off and get them in the shop, get the bearings in the solvent tank, and we'll take a look at them, and we'll go from there. I won't bore you with the other side. All righty, folks, good news, good news. Well, my suspicions were correct, and so far the wheel bearings look good on that axle. But my suspicions that were correct is that that is a 5,200 pound axle. It also had a Dexter trailer axle part number on there. I was able to look up and it pointed right to it, and those things are expensive. Just to give you an idea, just the bare axle, no bearings, no hubs. Off the website I normally shop from for trailer stuff, $250 each. I got 2 of them for what I paid for that trailer, you know. So far, you know, there again, it just reaffirms the fact that I couldn't have bought the materials to build that trailer, as well as just buying the trailer as junk and refurbishing it, and making it my own. So that's good news. So stay tuned. We'll get some bearings cleaned up. I got to get 4 bearing seals ordered, and then we got to build fenders for this thing yet. I got the material. I'm building my own fenders. I've priced buying fenders, and you could buy a set of fenders for about $200, and they're like 083 or 089 gauge, 0.089 thousandths of a thickness, which is okay. They're pretty sturdy, but as you see, they got pretty beat up. I'm gonna build mine out of 1/8" steel, and the whole top, angles, front, back's all gonna be out of 1/8" steel. And I bought the steel for about $184. Now it's gonna take my time and some welding to put them all together, but I'm gonna have something that's I would consider to be twice as good as what you can buy. That's how I roll. But I'll bring you along the journey of cutting those fenders off, how I'm gonna do it, and I'm also gonna show you how I'm welding them together, and also how I'm gonna reattach them to the trailer. We'll go from there. It's getting exciting. The trailer has to get worse before it gets better. And that's all there is to it, because there's a lot of work. You got to tear it apart, and then you start rebuilding it, putting a new foundation under it, so to speak. But what I've already got is a okay foundation. There are some welds on that trailer that I will be wire wheeling off and covering over. And not just to cover over, but to get a good weld on it. And that's something I feel better about. And now when I'm pulling it around, the welds that people see won't look like they were done with a 6013 stick rod on an AC welder 30 years ago. 40 years ago. Whenever those were popular. All right. That's it. We'll be right back here as soon as I get some more stuff done for you. All right, folks, I got to tell a little story. The JF Egwo saved my butt. Real life events. So my son-in-law went out. You know, I was showing you how, you know, having things on the boat. I keep mine on my boat. I don't keep it there. I have it in a little carrying satchel like you saw, and I put it on the boat. If I go from the boat to a car or I'm going on a trip, yeah, I take it with me. I got a couple of them around the house. Couple of them in cars, you know, that type of thing. Have them on your person. Well, we fished all day Saturday and all day Sunday. And lo and behold, we caught fish. Over 100 fish we caught, which is fun. Now, we spent a lot of time on the trolling motor and very little time on the engine. I started the engine several times. And I've never had this happen. I don't know how old this battery is in the boat. I have to look at it and date code it and see. But we were done at the end of the day. I'm like, all right, Matthew, let's go home. And we went home, but pulled the trolling motor up out of the water, hit the starter with the oil pressure sending unit light buzzer, and then I'm like, you got to be kidding me. My battery's dead. So redeployed the trolling motor because the breeze was blowing us up against the rocky shore. Pulled us back out while I got my JF Egwo jump pack out, popped the jumper cable in, put it on there, whammo. I mean, that thing started up like that. And then we unhooked it, put it back in the case, drove all the way around the lake, put it on the trailer, brought it home. So there again, that saved me. Otherwise, we'd have had to take the trolling motor and take it back over to the boat ramp. And then loading the boat would not have been as much fun or as easy without the engine running. So there again, just first-hand experience, airing up tires, jumping things when they're needed. Really happens to you. It happens to me. It happens to everybody. It pays to have one of these in your arsenal. Follow the links below to get your own. All righty, folks. As you can see, I've got the welding, coat on just to protect the old Hawaiian shirt. As you can see, I'm still wearing it. But, well, where do I go? Well, the bearings for the trailer, I ordered some backing plates, some hubs for the brakes for a hydraulic setup, and I ordered the seals. And then I got an email like at 10:01 at night saying, hey, we're currently out of stock of those hubs, and can we replace it with this hub? Or maybe you want this one instead. And this one instead, I'm not sure, people, they had the right things in mind when they sent me the email. They offered me a replacement because it was going to be not till the end of November. Here we are near the end of October before I was going to see my hubs and my drums. When I went and looked at the one they offered, it was over $130 more. And I'm not sure why. They look identical in the pictures. So I'm not sure why one is $130 more or $20, $110. It was over $100 more over what I ordered because I was going to have to wait. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. So I emailed them back and said, are you offering me this one that's over $100 more in replacement for the same price as what I ordered? Oh, no, we can't do that. It's, we just thought you might be in a hurry and time is of the essence and you could spend $200 plus more on your trailer. That's not happening. I'm going to wait until the end of November. I got other things to do. And, which is the fender. Take a look here. I'm building the fender. And I bought all the steel, like I had mentioned before, for about $185 for all the steel. And my fenders are going to be out of 1/8" steel. I already tacked them up. Tacked this one up anyway. And I went and played around with the angle. So, use your piece of scrap wood. Boom. Hold it up against there. Tack, tack. Other side, tack, tack. It all worked good. Now, I wondered what the mitered angle was going to be. So, this is at 25. So, I'm going to show you what I did And granted, I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a, you know, jack of all trades, master of none, more or less, right? So if this is 25 degrees, and most of you already know this, I wanted to miter this corner up here on the front. Let me show you that. So I've got my, see how I've got the steel here? I'm creating a lip for the outside and the inside. The inside is for being able to mount it to the trailer. The outside is just to, you know, let's just enclose it a little bit and make it look like we did something on purpose. But I wanted to miter this corner here. I've got a pretty tight miter going there. Also radius this end. So I'm playing around with how I'm putting this trailer together, or this fender together. And then we'll do the second one. I won't bore you with the second one at all. But what I did to come up with this angle here is this is 25 degrees. From this angle here, it's 25 degrees over. But when you take 25 and go 12 and a half to think you can create a nice little miter fit, like I had on the front there, that doesn't work. Then I've got to thinking, oh shoot, you got it too. Are you looking? Are you paying attention? You got to take the opposite of the 90 degrees, right? So if you've got 25, what does that leave? 65. 25 and 65 is 90. So then you take the 35 or 65 divided by 2, you come up with 32 and a half. So I set my miter box at 32 and a half, cut my pieces here, and then I was able to go here, lay them in my fender and go, perfect. So once I got that figured out, I was able to lay that. Are you looking? Over here, and I set the angle on my little bandsaw so I could sit here and go wheel and miter those, and they fit together, as you can see, really, really well. Now the other thing you're going to notice that I'm working with right now is these little magnets. Sorry, I'm not pointing you at it. These little magnets you see all the way down through here. And you can get these over at your Hobo Freight pretty reasonable. You get them on, they're not expensive. And they're a lifesaver when it comes to time, trying to line up a thin piece along this whole length and get it lined up and hold it in place for you. I mean, it just gives you a bunch of extra hands. I also have like 4 more of these big ones down below here. So this is where I am right now. I've got to miter this one. We'll stick it in here. Just like that. The cool part is I can stick it in there just like that, and then if I wanted to, I could just trace it. I could. I really, really could. But I've already got it set, so I can just cut it. So anyway, fly. Oh, I missed him. There's 2 of them. Dang it. Anyways, they're going to land on my elbow while I'm welding. I just know it. So what we got here is this held in place. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing it flush, just right on. You can see how I got this just dead on flush here. And I want that to be nice and smooth on top and be flush out here. And then what I'm going to try to do is I think I'm going to take my TIG welder and just lay me a nice little bead right flush on there. And all my real welding will be, not that TIG isn't real welding, but my strength weld will be on the inside here, all along here. So I'm going to put you right here while I do some tack welding. I got my welder set rather hot. Too hot to weld 1/8 inch, but it's perfect for just giving me a nice little zap, zap, zap. Because what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the plate is up against this, because this is a straight edge more or less. It was sheared on a shear. So we're going to go ahead and tack weld this together. Hey, there's my other triangles. I was missing these triangles. They were laying right on my welder the whole time. Silly me. So anyway, we got that one. I can't feel it with my glove on. Got that one exactly where I want it. Perfect. I'm just going to work my way down here. These little magnets, you just give them a little. That's working out real well. My weld table's not perfectly flat, so I'm shoving screwdrivers up under here, which is actually making this plate come out tight to here, which is what I want. Then I'm checking for flush on the front, making minor adjustments as I go. Perfect. Coming out real nice so far. One thing also nice about using these is it holds it nice and perpendicular. You got a square corner there, which is really awesome. Here it's snap, crackle, and popping a little bit. Now you can kind of get an idea what the fender's going to look like. Obviously it's upside down, but I think it's going to look pretty good. Not to mention, I mean, this is beyond rigid. This is a fender you can crawl all over. You don't have to worry about bending it, breaking it, or nothing. And as you can see here, I've tack welded it pretty heavily on the inside. We'll go back in and we'll weld over. And I'm looking possibly to do a full weld on this on the inside. But I also want to keep it from curling on me as well. So right now we got a nice straight edge. This should be pretty strong when I go to weld it to keep it from bending and bowing. If it starts to bend or bow or give too much, you'll see this thing here start turning wavy, which wouldn't be good for me. And it would look terrible on the trailer. So far I like it. I won't bore you with the rest of it. We're going to do the same thing to the other side, do some more welding. I'll get you some more shots in between as progress continues, but I won't bore you through the whole welding process, period. Well, hi again. Well, okay, we're working on the trailer, right? I started building fenders for it, but then I also need a way to tear the fenders off the trailer. And I used to have an ESOB plasma cutter. Well, it died about a year ago, and it's been tough getting along without it. So I decided, maybe against my better judgment, but I wanted another plasma cutter. And I thought, I'm not paying what I paid for that plasma cutter again. Now, the cool thing about electronic devices, as time marches on, electronic devices become more obtainable. What is crawling up my leg? Nothing. Got box elders out here. Anyway, I wanted to see what was actually available out there for a new plasma cutter. Well, and this is not a sponsored video. This is my honest opinion. And even when it is a sponsored video, for me, you still get my honest opinion every time. I won't do it unless it is honest and is real. Otherwise, I just deny it, right? Now, in the shadows here, I'm trying to get you close. And so you can see what I'm talking about here. A ladybug crawling on my microphone. I had, let me just take it off here real quick. Let's get a push lock on it. Oh. It's on there really good. This is your regulator, air regulator. So you plumb air into here, and it blows through and comes out here and blows your metal that's in a plasma state away. So what I had a problem with, and I'm going to see if I can get you up here and see it. You're in the sunlight, it's bright, it should be clear. You should be experiencing that 4K beautifulness. It had a fitting on it like this. Well, yours truly, and they provide you, Art Captain provides you with this piece of air hose like this that plugs into another push lock fitting on this side. But then what the hell are you supposed to do at the other end? Stupid. Okay, so Art Captain, if you're listening, fix this problem so the rest of your customers don't have to put up with this crap. I think we'll learn as I go if this is good or not. But what I did is I was trying to take this fitting off, and let me mind you that this is fitting on the other end was garbage. I put a wrench on it, it rolled off. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I not have the right size? And I look at it and all the squares are still there. I'm like, how did that roll off? Then I went to put the box end on. Went to turn it, realized the box end won't fit. Well, it squished. So then I got my channel locks out and I went to channel lock it off, and it just crushed. Just collapsed. Just like the walls over here, you know, inside this, it was thin. Like, I ain't kidding you, it was probably, if it was 20 thousandths, I would be surprised. It just let go. So I was able to Dremel out now, the average Joe would send this back. But do you know what you're going to get if you want another one like it? You're going to get the same thing. Here again, less than $200 for a plasma cutter. It's supposed to cut well over 1/2 inch. And this is your water separator / regulator. Boy, we had a cold snap here recently, and the bugs went away for a minute. Now it's warm today, and they're out like, hey, party time. So anyway, I got my Dremel out, ground out the brass I couldn't get out. I got it out, ran the tap back in there. Then I put some Sikaflex around the plug, and now we're sealed up tight again. So I'm back to, we're going to put it back together. This is the only thing I took apart, but I had to take the whole cover off in order to get at this push lock easier to make it happen. So now there again, if you haven't used these magnetic trays, get you some. And they make it nice for putting all these little screws. And then the nice thing is they don't come off. Magnetic bottom. This doesn't slide. It's just telling you guys, if you don't have a couple of them, get you some, because I find myself starting to take things apart. And I'm like, wait a minute, lots of little screws. But as you can see now, I can get my air hose. Golly, ladybug's crawling on my face. This thing... Now you see how flimsy that is? That's because the rest of the case isn't supporting it. But now at least it holds air. That's good. Now I'm going to plug. Now don't do this at home, what I'm getting ready to do. But I am getting ready to plug it in. And I'm hoping my cord will reach. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Well, that was a crash test to see how tough this was. I just bounced it off the floor. Get my table a little closer here. I'm not touching any circuit boards. Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, you know that? Okay, I'm not in the sunlight like I want to be. But we'll see. We got the ground here. We got this here. It turned on. Fan's running. Yep. Makes noise. Now the question is, will it cut? And do I have enough air pressure? It looks like maybe I do. All right. Now there again, guys, please don't run yours without the cover on it. And when the cover's off of it, don't drop it on the floor. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Wow. Probably could use a little more air pressure maybe. That's 50 pounds. Now keep in mind, well, I'm not even, let me show you guys this. I'm not even, I didn't follow the instructions at all, but we're just gonna see how she does again here. Boy, 3/16, it just walks through it. Dang, I'm impressed. And this is set currently at 50 amps, which is wide open. $20 is as low as it goes. Let's see what it does on 20. 20, not quite enough power. Try 30. I went a little fast. Let's go 35. We'll get through 3/16. That's cool. It goes up to 50, and it's just a dial. So we're gonna leave it at 35 for now. Let's go ahead and power it off. Oh, it's cool. When it powers off, the fan keeps running until it cools things down. That's nice. Now the other thing I'll share with you is don't go back into touching things. Give this thing some time to cool off. I'm gonna unplug it. You know, it's probably not a bad idea to let this thing sit for 5 minutes to possibly do any de-energizing. There again, here's the book. You can do what you want with it. Well, does it have settings in here? Maybe, maybe not. Give you some guidelines. Basically, this just shows you how, let's see. Main operation panel functions 50, number 11. Where's number 11? Right here, 10, 11. Yep. Basically, this one's just saying run wide open, 50 amp. As you can see, you don't have to. All right, I'm going to put this back together now that I have let it de-energize for a minute. And we want to put all the strength back into it again, you know, because what appears to be all the strength is coming from the case. And then we'll get busy cutting some fenders off a trailer. Well, as you saw there, it did a nice job of cutting that 3/16 material with ease. And typically, I'm not cutting 1/2 inch and 5/8 material with a plasma cutter, even though it claims it can do up to that much. Maybe someday when I need to, I will, but until then, I won't. Let's get that trailer pulled up here close because I don't have an extension cord long enough to get out there. So we're gonna have to get it off of the jack stands and go from there. Beautiful day out. I wore coveralls this morning just because it was 35 degrees, but now it's up over 50, which feels awesome. So as you can see here, we got the trailer sitting out here on jack stands because I'm waiting on bearings and hubs and the like, because we're putting trailer brakes on here. Oh, look at this tire up there. Putting trailer brakes on it, and I had to order the parts, and obviously, unfortunately, the hubs were not in stock. So in the meantime, we can go ahead. As you can see, these fenders are too narrow. The tire sticks out. The fenders I'm currently building in there will go on here and stick past the tire like it should. So I'm excited to do that. But I was going to use what we always call in the trade a death wheel in the fabric trade, which is the little thin disc for cutting through stuff like this. But I thought, no, this is a good job for the plasma cutter. So nice thing is when you have tandem axles and you pull a set of wheels off, you still got a set of wheels that roll. It's just that the rocker under here will bottom out a little bit, but who cares? The nice thing about this one is they will be almost balanced because it's the middle axle I've still got in place. So I'm going to go ahead and flop these ramps back up into place. So we're fixing this trailer, one piece at a time. We're going to get the fenders done next. The wheel hubs and stuff won't be until the end of November, which is still about 3 weeks away. Is when they claim they'll be in. We'll get that. And they won't ship. This is a ship complete situation. So I've got seals, hubs, bearings, seals for the back ones. Otherwise, the back ones would be repacked and back in place by now. So we're just going to do what we can do while we can do it. And that's why you might see in the future here a couple of skips, week skips on working on the trailer because I'm waiting on stuff. My wife, some people had some comments about what color you're going to paint it. A lot of people like this blue that was on it. Well, and one of you out there said, you should let your wife pick. I'm like, sure, why not? I asked my wife this morning, hey, people on the internet want you to pick the color. She picked black. I'm like, okay. I said, why not something like blue or antique white? Or she goes, no, it's just a trailer, paint it black. All right, so we'll start off by when we put these fenders on, we'll paint the fenders black. And then I'll be, it'll probably be a wire wheel brush paint job. And I do have some trailer lights on the way. And we'll talk about those when they get here, the reason I got them. And so we get trailer lights, and then when the brakes show up, and then I got to focus on this hitch situation. This hitch is, this one's broke. And it's also not a hydraulic brake situation that I want to put on here. But the hydraulic brake situation for the front, they're going to run anywhere from $275 to $475, depending on which one I pick for the brake actuator. So, not cheap, but this trailer will be able to haul a lot of really cool heavy-duty stuff. Now, people have had questions about my old Jeep Liberty. Can it pull that? Can it really pull that? It pulls it. It has a 5,000-pound towing capacity. This trailer weighs 2,800 pounds. So I could actually put 1,000 pounds on it and be 3,800 pounds. And with brakes, it'll be safe. This boat, the Rad here, has trailer brakes on it as well. It's over a 4,000-pound boat in trailer. And that Jeep pulls it just fine. Yeah, power-wise, it could use a little more power. But going and stopping and everything, it handles it just fine. And if you got good trailer brakes, one guy left a comment about my boss did this and he hit the brakes really hard. The trailer went to pass him. That's because his trailer didn't have trailer brakes. If you got adequate trailer brakes, when you stab on the brakes, the trailer will actually pull you straight in line and keep it from doing that. It will not try to pass you because it's going to have a set of locked up tires on the back that's going to keep you straight. especially if it weighs almost as much as you do. So there again, I know that I think people leave comments because they're concerned about me, want me to be safe, and I 100% appreciate that. Just want you to know that. All right, let's get these totes off here. Now, some of you had, just to give you an idea what I'm doing here, these are called Pelican cases. If you're not familiar with Pelican cases, they are durable, tough, strong, and will take a heck of a beating. They're also lockable with a padlock on multiple sides. It's almost ridiculous how much you could lock this. But where I work, they had an auction, and they were getting rid of some of these old ones, and just come open. There we go. And you know, these things are not inexpensive. They are rather expensive. And I had one already that I had drilled a hole in to put an aerator in because I was hauling fish in one. And I could put a little dab of sealant on there and fix it up just fine, but it had a couple broken latches and whatnot. So I picked this one up at work at the auction for the sum of $40. And as you can see, I thought it was actually smaller than this one, and I wanted something a little smaller so I didn't have the closeness here, but it's okay. It's quite all right. We have got, what's that? Oh, there's my wife. So we've got that one. We're going to put this one on the tongue there. That's going to hold my chains, my winch, tie downs, whatever I want to put in there. And we're going to go from there. But I just remembered the hitch ball. I need to modify that quick so I can put it on the back of the Jeep so this thing will run at the right height while I just pull around the backyard. Let's go build that hitch now. Fix my trailer hitch. I'm gonna giddy up. Now this does come with a 110 adapter. Obviously you're gonna get a lot less amps, but it'd be great for cutting burn barrels and stuff in the yard, I guess. I also went on to Amazon and bought a whole bunch of tips, the little swirlers, ceramic swirlers, some other ceramic tips. I bought a bunch of spare parts because you don't want to be partway through a job and not have enough stuff to finish it. That sucks. So here's what we got. We got paper stuck in here. Why is that in there? Get out of there. Oh, it's a limited 90-day warranty. Yeah, we're going to avoid that because we're going to be welding on it. So what I'm going to do here, so as you can see, the hole is typically right here. It's right here there. We're putting that there. Why? Because my trailer hitch on my Jeep has a tire that sticks out, so I need to extend it. And it's been great on the other two that I've extended. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be hauling the 10,000 pounds with this extension, but it will allow me to move this trailer around freely. And the other advantage this trailer has over other trailers, as it were, is the fact that it will, I could throw a pallet on it. With the fenders being where they are, you go to the big box lumber yards and whatnot, you can buy a whole pallet of mulch, a whole pallet of shingles, and just set it on there from the side. You don't have to worry about sides being a problem. So first and foremost, we need to weld this together. The other thing I like to do is put some strapping inside here. Yep, so I can actually, you know, when I weld it, I can plug weld it in 4 places around here, plus I can run a bead around here, and the weld will be strong, and then the strapping inside will also give it some extra strength. Now, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and use this. Why wouldn't I? I can cut this off here and here, then I can split it down the middle, and I'll have my 4 pieces. Yep, that'll work just dandy. All right, let's go ahead and just split her down the middle here. I'm going to crank it up a little hotter. makes quick work of that. Nice thing, that slag you just pop right off like that. Everything we do is a step in the process, right? Don't you just hate it when you're working so hard, you forget about your filming and your battery dies? That's what just happened. But we'll pick up where we left off. I'll show you what it looked like. I did some grinding here and here on the sides, but I left the plug welds. I ground the plug on this side, but as you can see, I left a nice bead raised all the way around. Let's see if she fits. As you can see, I got the one extender 2-inch ball I always use on here. And I put this one on upside down on purpose. Oh, perfect. I don't have to grind any more welds off. Now this is sticking out a little further than the other ones. But by the same token, I'm not going to be putting, you know, the 500 pounds tongue weight, 10,000 pound, you know, towing capacity onto this hitch at all. No, half that. But as you can see, I'm well past my tire, and this thing, you know, this is going nowhere. There, I just tested it for 260 pounds, 70 pounds. 75. That's going nowhere. That's strong. Those folks, those out there going, oh my God, I can't believe I've seen people do things. This will not be a problem. Trust me. Let's back this up to the trailer. Now you're going to see why I put it upside down like that, because this is off the ground a bit. Hey guys, check these little runts out. I was out next to my Jeep. Let's just say nature called, and I heard these little guys meowing. And we had one mama kitty that was in my motorhome and had one kitten with her, but we thought she was a lot bigger than that. But I heard this meowing, and I had sealed the boat up, the cover up tight a few days ago. So these guys have been surviving without milk for a couple of days. So we're going to put her with Mama right now. And Mama will be happy to be reunited with these guys, because the other one that's in there with them is bigger. Been growing. These got some catching up to do now. Let's get them back with Mama. Boat kitties. Oh wow, it's up high enough that I have to actually probably crank this up a little bit. Move this out of my way. Nice. Oh, that's maximum optimum. I hope the Jeep goes a little lower. It will. Oh, it's gonna be about perfect. Oh, talk about perfect. I also got to remember I still got this on jack stand, so I'm gonna back it up, drop it on, and then we'll jack the jack stands out from under it. There we go. Really, there's no reason why I can't just pull this forward off the jack stands. I'm gonna try that. Then I don't have to worry about getting the floor jack out. I'm gonna put you guys back here. So if it goes awry, just say whoa, okay? Well, that seemed to work out all right. As it were, but I want to show you something here real quick. So where that axle is currently located is right on neutral tongue weight, because I can do this. So that's down, watch it. Just barely. I got neutral tongue weight pretty much, maybe just a half a pound to 2 pounds of negative, but that's why the back axle is currently not touching either. So that tells me that that axle is dead center of my weight. And if I didn't have those 2 plastic containers up there, it would have a little more weight. So that's not awful. Now, I would never build a trailer with an axle there if it was a single axle. Obviously, it would probably be further back. But for tandem axle, it's probably pretty good. Let's go pull it up by the shop. Now we got to pull it up by the shop for one reason and one reason only, and along the sides, because that was noisy probably. I got to my cord that's coming on my wall, and my plasma cutter only reaches so far. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the weld bench 90, and then we'll pull her right up in here, just slickery dickory. That was excessively loud. Make sure I don't run over a few key components here, like an anchor. That might not do the tires any good. I think we pull the Jeep right up along here, get that fender right here, and we can just plasma it off. Then I might have to spin it around to get the other side. But my goal here is to use the plasma and cut them off and see what I got. What do you think, Toasty Toast? What do you think, buddy? Here's my buddy. Now this is my Tomcat here, Toast. He's a pretty lovable Tomcat, aren't you, buddy? Guaranteed mouse killer. Now I tell you what, you stay over here and don't get run over. Even though we just found 4 new kittens, I'm not looking to replace you just yet, all right? Power on. All right. Now the plasma cutter should make quick work out of this, is what I'm hoping. When you're using those cutoff wheels, basically it throws the same amount of sparks as this thing is going to throw, you know. But this is faster, in my opinion, a lot safer. So let's get up over the top here. That's only hooked on right here. Now we do have our fire extinguisher handy because there are leaves and stuff in here. What I'm gonna do now is just run, there's a brace right here. So I'm gonna come across this brace. there's another brace right there. Okay. Now I can see the braces. Looks naked without the fenders. Oh yeah. Oh, it's a lay down job. I like this. That piece is cracked. Yes, sirree, it was. All right, now we gotta dissect here. Right here. Almost like cutting 4 pans out of a car. Yep, sir. We're getting there. Oh. Hot foot, hot foot. Now, gotta get this piece off. Yep. Ooh. Oh, I got grease on me. Mark, I got grease on me. Wasn't planning on washing these for another week or so. There's a lot of debris back there, and the weld's on the back side. The wisest thing would do to be to pull that board off so I can work it, but I don't want to. I really don't want to. So I'm wondering if I could carefully cut this way. Now we got a little burning going on there. That's called Shoshiban. Yep, sir. What I'm going to do is after I cut this, I'll soak it down with some water. As you know, with fire and a lot of compressed air, that's the recipe for some hot fire. All right, let's keep going. Well, let's say that's working pretty darn good. Yeah, first, let's keep going. Now, if you use your plasma like that, I'm just now doing, I can clean up a lot of weld without getting into the parent metal. And you can save yourself a lot of grinding time if you're careful. Just got to be careful. That's what I'm saying. Nice. Cleans it up real nice. That one I got pretty close already. Looks pretty naked now. But I tell you what, that plasma cutter's working fine. You know, they claim a certain amount of horsepower, as I would call it. I'm not sure it cut a 1/2 inch very well. It might have been, let's just call it over-advertised a little bit. But I will eventually cut some stuff like that, and I'll give you some feedback. So as long as you keep following this channel, when this thing dies, you'll know it, because I'll be talking about it and replacing it with something, because just like that, this was a lot faster job, and I would call it even just a little bit safer job than using the old death wheel, because things, when you cut through them, they pinch and bind, and you could blow up one of them wheels, and you know, it could do a lot of damage to you if you're not careful. The cool part is that fender's off, a little bit of grinding, and I'll probably get in here and do a little, I ain't gonna paint yet. I will paint the raw metal on the fender after I weld it on, but and we'll pull both tires off, get some paint underneath there, but we'll be on fire watch for a while. There's still some smoke coming up. I'll get the garden hose out and actually just soak it down pretty good. Yeah, that's the safest thing to do. But I'll do that once I'm done with the other side while I'm out here, before I put it back away for the evening. Actually, once I flip it around and cut the other side off, I probably will take it around to the spigot, soak it down, and then park it back right here. Because tomorrow, I don't know if I got enough gas. Somebody forgot to order me some gas. Now, somebody asked me what kind of gas I use. It's called Moon Gone. And I find it produces a lot less splatter than just plain CO2. It has argon in it, I believe. And but it's called Moon Gone here. And you can do some research on that and see if that's what you want to use on your MIG welder or not. But I find it's very handy. And like I said, a lot less splatter. And it just makes a nice clean weld. And just like I did on the trailer hitch there. Now I had to take time out. There's some things when you come along in your project, you got to take time out to do your trailer hitch. And, you know, just things, little bumps you got to get over, right? But I think I'll finish cutting this other side off now, off camera. I think you guys get the idea. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next video, we'll pick up right where we're leaving off here, which will be either putting bearings back on and wheels and stuff, but we'll also for sure be putting fenders back on. I've already got the paint and the primer, and what I'm going to do here, and I'll show you up close, is I've got that 2-inch drop on the inside of that fender. I'm doing that on both sides. Well, the reason for the inside is that drop height is the same height as this wood. So I can bring that trailer fender right up to the edge of this angle iron, or this channel here, and I'll be buzz welding that back in all along the edge there. And then I'll also go down and, like they did before on the angle pieces, tack it here and here. But I also got some triangle pieces cut that I had some 1-foot squares cut at a 45 when it's easy for them to shear them. I will finish cutting them into shape to fit into here so I can weld those into place. But you can definitely tell the fenders had been on a while, probably since the trailer was built. And there was some cracking. It had been banged around, bumped around, you know, just like a lot of this stuff on here. And it just fatigued and it started cracking. And you know, 20 years, 25 years from now, maybe my fenders will start cracking. But by that time, I'll be like, you know, 35. Yeah. Then I'll rebuild it then. All right. I like that plasma cutter. The fan just cut off on it. It runs until it, even if you power it off, it stays running until it cools itself off. But can't for less than 200 bucks. Now, I'll try to leave a link below, and all the tools you saw me use in this video that I bought and or used, so you guys can possibly do the same thing, get the same results. Plasma cutter, as you see, is very handy. That just made some very short work out of that, and I got me a nice little scrap pile to go to the scrap yard now. And I'll do the same with the other fenders, and get some more steel out of my shop and on this trailer and out of my way, which will be nice. You can tell these tires are 5 years old. They got a pretty good tread left on them. I thought they looked a little more worn down than they are, but I don't think I'll ever wear them out. They'll be outdated for safe use before I wear them out. I'm pretty sure of that. All right, Mercury's over there, so we had a kitten rescue. Now, one guy just left me a thing. Would you quit talking so much and show us some more work? When I see that, it makes me laugh because I'm not going to change who I am. I like to share my knowledge. I like to talk a little bit, no doubt about it. So that's what you get. So whoever you are, feller, I left the comment. It's going to keep coming, so you might as well unsubscribe, just so I don't have to put you through that torture. Like one other feller I saw on YouTube, he's, you know, like all of us did, we started with 0 subscribers, and we posted our first videos. And if you're not happy with what you see, don't try to fix me. You can't fix me. I am who I am. And all of my true followers know that and accept that. And they also know what a fast forward button looks like on their remote control. So, but what was the kitten thing? Now, that was some kind of, the universe speaks to me. And I shouldn't say that. That sounds like crazy talk. But when something goes not your way, it's just like, well, it wasn't meant to be that way, and there's nothing I can do to change it. I've been waiting today for a special delivery that hasn't arrived yet. And I'm hoping it arrives. I was hoping it would show up today because the weekend's beautiful and I really could use it. And all next week is not to be too bad. And next weekend, still a very usable thing. But if it would have showed up, I'd have been doing something else today besides what I'm doing now. And by not getting to this, I would have never heard those kittens in the boat. Now that boat, the mama was in my motorhome. If you guys don't know what my motorhome is, that's my 8x12 yard barn. It's full of outboards, non-running outboards that I picked up for on the cheap. They could be parts or they could be repaired. Future content's what that is for my other channel. But anyway, I was out there next to my Jeep getting ready to flip this thing, or flip the Jeep around and hook onto this, and I'm standing there. Mother Nature called. So nice thing about being, you know, a little bit of a private property and away from the public, you can just kind of like nature calls and you can just go wherever, you know. So, but I heard this funny sound. Now sometimes it sounds like a bird, but it was a very, very faint meow. So that's how I know my hearing's still okay a little bit. These things were a little ways away, probably 40 yards away, under a boat cover, in the boat, in front of the fuel tank. I had to go get my wife because she's small enough to crawl up in there and get her hands on them. I don't think I could have got my hands on them. But those 3 kittens I showed you earlier were in there, and they were meowing. And I tarped that trailer down real tight here with some extra bracing like last Monday or Tuesday. Today is Saturday. So I'm thinking Mama had moved one into the motorhome and she was in there nursing it. My wife found her 2 days ago. And sure enough, that little one it's 2 or 3 days ahead of the other ones. And we got them, I think we got them just in time. They went in and we put them with Mom in their little bed there, and they latched on, and they're going to town now. So they got some catching up to do. It's very important in the first few days of life to get that nutrition in them. But anyway, and not everybody's cat people. I'm not necessarily a cat person. I like a couple of my cats around here. They do a service for me. I feed them. They kill mice. And one thing I've read up on one time, and you guys can leave comments down below, and you probably don't want to hear me talking about cats, but if you feed them, cats are just hunting for sport then. They don't have to hunt to survive, and they will actually probably kill more. So, but anyway, they're always bringing stuff into the house, unfortunately. A couple of them can get through the dog door, and they bring mice, rabbits, toads, ground squirrels, and usually it happens about between 9 and 11 o'clock at night. All of a sudden, we'll hear something making a funny noise coming down the hallway. Well, they're bringing to show us their prize. And a few times we've had to catch them. So, oh well. Enough of me rambling. I'll see you on the next video. This is Michael saying, if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. And we'll see you on the next video. And you guys keep staying tuned, and I've got more stuff coming. I've got so many things in line with what I'm going to be doing throughout this fall, winter, spring, summer. I mean, I've got years worth of stuff planned out. Honestly do. And I want you guys to come along for the ride, share in the adventure, and learn maybe from me. And you guys can, I'm counting on you guys helping me along. Because if you guys leave comments, if you've got experience on something that I'm doing that I haven't done before, there again, I I never start out as an expert. I start out with no knowledge on certain topics, and then I immerse myself in them and learn. And people have asked me, I answer a question somebody had. It's like, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a trade? I'm just really curious. Well, I've done a few things. Most of my life, since I got out of high school, I've been involved in machining and machine shops. Went for a lot of manual machines, repairing trailer axles. I'm talking truck axles, like on semis. Fertilizer spreader axles that snap ends off, replacing those. All kinds of, let's say, fastener removal out of antique stuff, getting broken bolts and studs and stuff out that pretty much would trash it. But I was able to get it out, and I learned a lot from my first job that I worked at for 12 years. Moved on from there and became a tool maker, making tools for a big company, a really big company. And from there, that job was being outsourced finally after 5 years, and I went to another production machine shop. And there, learned a lot about production machining. And then that's where I got into a lot of stuff with the office. I spent about 9 years between the shop and the office. So I was working out in the shop. It was a small facility. And then from there, I went to where I'm currently at, which is a medical device company. And supervising and then managing a machine shop plus other production areas. So I've done a lot of different things. That's why those skills I learned early on in life carry me through the rest of my life easily enough. I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. Just being able to know how to fix things. There isn't too much that I can't fix. Now, when you start dealing with, there's the old Goldilocks back there I call Donkey. It stopped running. I replaced the camshaft position sensor, and I also replaced the what am I missing here? Oh, I replaced the camshaft position sensor. I checked for fuel pressure because it won't fire up and run. Checked fuel pressure, holding 50 pounds of fuel pressure. And so now I've got a crankshaft sensor I want to put in. This has that coil pack on it that you have to unbolt bolts and you pull everything off the spark plugs and you put it back on. If you guys can point me in a direction of where to check that out to see if that's in good shape or not, or if maybe that went bad, it'd be greatly appreciated. Because that's one of the things I've got started a video on, but I can't finish that video until I get it running. That is a rust-free, 99.9% rust-free vehicle that I brought up from South Carolina about 3 to 4 years ago now. And I don't even drive it in the winter here in Iowa because I want to keep it rust-free. Plus, I feel safer in my Impala, honestly. It's low profile. It doesn't roll over when it goes into a ditch. It just goes into a ditch like those. You get a little wonky. You get a little brave with four-wheel drive. Sometimes a little over brave, and then you get yourself in a little bit of trouble. You can. Not knocking them, just saying that's my personal preferences. But if you got any ideas about turning over, no running, brand new battery, like I said, camshaft sensor and fuel pressure is good. I'm going after the crank sensor because I see those. They sell them almost in pairs because they're synonymous for one and the other going out close to each other for whatever reason. Could be the way it's wired. I don't know. So if there's any Jeep experts out there, shoot me an email. Email's down there, and let me know what I need to do there because I really like to get it running. It's a good old 4-liter in there, and I was using it before I started using this Jeep Liberty. And that one I might get running and send it on down the road just because I'm paying for insurance and license on it. It's been sitting for a year. And I want to get it running again and go from there. What's up, boss? Caught me sitting on the job. It's my wife. She's walking. Where are you going? Oh, okay. Anyway, let me get this other fender cut off, spray it down with some water, and then I think I need to take my little lady out to supper. She suggested we go to one of my favorite places, so we're going there. So let me get this cut off, and then I can close up shop for the night. And I wonder if this will reach to the other side. Can I do it from this side? Is that possible? Well, that'd be really cool. Let's see. That's about it on that. How long is this guy? Oh, it might just work. Hang out here for a minute. I could use you over here on fire patrol if you want. You can just sit there in the grass with Merc and pat him and you're not going to sit in no grass. Huh? Oh, bugs crawling on you? I got through that side without burning it down, so. Let's see here. Huh? No, I won't catch the tire on fire. Huh? Probably grass. Or dried up dog poop. Want to give it a try? Voila. Wow, this thing got jacked up pretty good in there. Huh? Yeah. Oh, I cut on the wrong side, dang it. All right, let's do this. Ooh, yeah, here we go. Whoa, that's hot. Whoa, that's hot. Oh, that's hot too. Oh.